Part 46. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 451. A Hidden Room. Emoji's Hung was covered in blood and his eyes were dull. Being killed by someone you trust is obviously not a good thing. Perhaps Emoji's Hung himself did not expect that the person behind him actually wanted to kill him to silence him. Gao Durong, who was as dull as him, looked indescribably haggard. Creak. The door was gently pushed open, and Pei Jianghe walked in with medical staff. All the medical staff did not speak, but performed the operation silently. The most seriously injured person was actually Emoji's Hung, while Gao Durong was relatively uninjured. After treating all of Emoji's injuries, the medical staff had already retreated. Emoji's Hung was wrapped up like a zongzi, but his eyes gradually became bright. He had lived for most of his life, but he didn't know what the meaning of his life was and what he was pursuing. He finally woke up, but in return he was killed by the person behind him, which he couldn't accept. "Tell me, what do you want?" Emoji's Hung asked. Pei Jianghe shook his head slightly. "It was not Brother Chen's intention to save you." As Pei Jianghe waved his hand again, the person behind him came in with something in his hand. "Brother Chen said that there are healing medicines here, which are effective for both internal and external injuries. You can use them yourself. As for the future, you can do whatever you want. He won't care about you." "Is he so kind?" Emoji's Hung sneered. Believe it or not, Pei Jianghe put the things down and prepared to leave. Emoji's Hung looked at the tray covered with white cloth, and suddenly opened it. A strong medicinal power rushed straight to his head. Miraculous medicine. Emoji's voice changed. "Is Li Chen crazy? He just feels sorry for you." Pei Jianghe stopped. "Wait. Anything else?" Pei Jianghe turned around and asked. This time it was Gao Durong who spoke. "We are all smart people. There is no need to pretend to be confused. Whether I admit it or not, I owe Li Chen a favor." Gao Durong seemed extremely cold-blooded at this moment and said, "I want revenge." "Then go out. No one will stop you here." Pei Jianghe smiled. "Li Chen saved me with bad intentions. I know what he wants to do." Gao Durong said frankly and fearlessly, "I have nothing to lose. I want revenge. Since Li Chen saved me, there must be a way for me to take revenge." Emoji's Hung looked dazed. Li Chen still had this plan? Pei Jianghe smiled. He really didn't underestimate the head of the Gao family who could get to this point. Sure enough, Brother Chen's backhand was right. "You can take revenge if you want. Brother Chen agrees to lend you the Gao family's property, but after taking revenge, I will pay him back double." Gao Durong said in a cold voice, "Even his father's property will be returned to him." "Very good." Pei Jianghe immediately smiled and took out a tablet and said, "Sign this agreement and take this bottle of medicine. In addition, Brother Chen thinks that anyone has the potential to become a master. This set of rapid training methods may have great disadvantages, but it can allow you to have amazing combat power in a short period of time. Whether to use it or not depends on." Gulp. Before Pei Jianghe finished speaking, Gao Durong had already raised his head and drank it without any hesitation. He was not afraid of death, so why would he care about these? "Ah!" Gao Durong fell to the ground, his body burning like fire. "Why are you in such a hurry?" Pei Jianghe sighed, threw the cultivation method to Gao Durong and said, "This is a way to burn your own life. The strongest can only reach the Grand Master level. Take care." "Ah!" Gao Durong's body hit the wall, and he let out a painful roar that was not like a human voice. Emoji's Hung on the side was stunned. Gao Durong was completely crazy. The road of martial arts should be gradual. If there is a shortcut, it will cost more. The martial arts world has been developing for more than 100 years. There are all kinds of people, but those who take shortcuts will not have a good end without exception. For revenge, Gao Durong has already given up. This is a way to burn life. Looking at the elixir left on the table, Amochia's Hung looked at Gao Durong, who began to grit his teeth and not let out a painful wail, and frowned slightly. For revenge, even the pain is going to be endured. This hatred can be seen how strong it is. Li Chen. Amochia's Hung laughed, you are more ruthless than your father. Looking at these precious medicinal herbs that are hundreds of years old in front of him, Amochia's Hung finally chose to pick them up. Perhaps, the first half of my life is incomprehensible, and the second half of my life should be more exciting. Chengdu. Yachin Courtyard. This is a rich area, and also a high-end area. For an honest man like Feng Taijun, let alone buying such a high-end villa, even buying the simplest house is enough. Of course, now he has lived in such a high-end villa. However, what is different from the past is that Feng Taijun, who is not young anymore, is urging his son to pack his luggage. He also has a lovely grandson, who is now more than 10 years old. Because he is used to a hard life, Feng Taijun pays special attention to his children and grandchildren. Grandpa, Feng Cheng, who is only 10 years old, has already achieved great success. He is wearing the best clothes and has an appointment to go to the horse farm with his friends today. Cheng Cheng, Feng Taijun squatted slightly and said earnestly, don't go out today, go change your clothes quickly. But we have made an appointment. If I don't go, won't I lose face? Feng Cheng shook his head, looking unhappy. Cheng Cheng, be obedient and go change your clothes right away, Feng Taijun's son, Feng Yizhong, shouted from the side. I don't, Feng Chenglei lost his temper. In the past, his grandfather always obeyed him. Whatever he wants, Grandpa will agree to it. Moreover, he has put down his bold words. He must be the first in equestrian riding and shooting today. If he breaks the appointment today, how will Feng Cheng see anyone in the future? Why do you hang out in this circle? Feng Taijun's face was full of helplessness, but he still beat and scolded his darling grandson, and said in the gentlest tone, Cheng Cheng, listen to Grandpa, there will be guests at home today, and they are very, very important guests. So, you can't go out, you have to go out with your parents, you know. Feng Cheng didn't understand. Grandpa, what kind of guest is this? Why are my parents and I going out? Are we going to receive him? Seeing his grandson showing doubts, Feng Taijun's eyes flashed with pain, but he quickly hid it. Be good, go ahead. Grandpa will make it up to you in the future, and I will definitely not let your friends think you are shrinking. Okay then. Feng Cheng looked at his grandfather's old face, and finally turned around and decided to listen to his grandfather's words. Is the whole family here? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 452. Feng Taijun's face turned extremely pale as this voice appeared. When Feng Yukong saw the figure walking in the distance, he was so frightened that he pulled Feng Cheng to hide. But Feng Cheng turned around curiously and saw a man approaching with a child in his arms. He felt vaguely familiar, but he couldn't see clearly. Is this the guest that Grandpa said? Feng Cheng looked at his father, Feng Yukong. Feng Yukong's expression was little better than that of his father Feng Taijun. It's finally here. The father and son never expected that this person would come so quickly. Feng Taijun's eyes flashed with despair, and finally he stood respectfully at the door, bowed slightly and said, Young master. Li Chen glanced at Feng Taijun and smiled, Uncle Feng. Long time no see. Feng Taijun on the side showed a wry smile. Uncle Feng, Li Chen looked at Feng Yukong again, with a smile on his face but no hint of anger. Master, Feng Yukong felt uncomfortable all over, feeling that his blood was freezing. Brother Li Chen, Feng Cheng exclaimed after being stunned for a long time. Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong, father and son, saw Feng Cheng speak and walked over, their expressions changed drastically. It's too late to stop him. Cheng Cheng, long time no see, Li Chen smiled and sat down on the sofa. Feng Chen was very happy and said, "Brother Li Chen, where have you been these days?" The atmosphere in the room became extremely weird. Especially Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong, their eyes changed for a while. Li Chen put Li Biwu aside, and Feng Cheng's eyes couldn't help but be attracted to this cute little baby. "I went outside to play recently." "Then you won't take me with you?" Feng Cheng was a little angry, but he was quickly attracted by Li Biwu and said, "Who is this? Guess it? You must be your baby." Feng Cheng looked confident. "Why?" "Because she is as good looking as you." Feng Cheng chuckled and said, "Am I right?" "Yes." Li Chen smiled and touched Feng Cheng's head. "Feng Cheng, don't be rude, go back to the house quickly." Feng Taijun scolded with his back soaked in cold sweat. "No, I haven't seen brother Li Chen for a long time. I want to play with him." Feng Cheng disobeyed this time and even held Li Biwu's little hand, and the two started playing. Feng Taijun and his son looked desperate. Bang! The next second, Feng Taijun knelt down straight. Even Feng Cheng, who usually went his own way, was confused. He was so frightened that he jumped off the sofa and said, "Grandpa, what are you doing? I'll just go back to the house." This was the first time he saw his grandfather in such a posture, and he was very worried and afraid. "No," Li Chen grabbed Feng Cheng. The last glimmer of hope in the eyes of father and son Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong was completely cut off as Li Chen stretched out his hand. "Master, it's all my fault, please let the child go." Feng Taijun's voice was trembling. He fell to his knees, trembling. Feng Cheng, who was sitting aside, was completely confused. What happened to Grandpa and Dad? Why kneel down? Why admit your mistake? Li Chen still had a warm smile on his face and asked, "Uncle Feng, what are you doing? Get up quickly." The less angry Li Chen was, the more frightened Feng Taijun felt in his bones. He had watched Li Chen grow up, and he knew the child's character better than anyone else. When he is really angry, he usually doesn't get angry. The angrier he gets, the more likely it is that this matter will become a minor issue. Feng Taijun knew that he had made a huge mistake, but the child was innocent. "Young master, Uncle Feng, knows that he has done something wrong and is willing to be punished." Feng Taijun burst into tears and begged, "It's just that the child is innocent after all. Please, master, for the sake of my many years of service to the Li family, please spare the lives of their father and son. This is all my doing and has nothing to do with them." Feng Cheng, who was sitting aside, was no longer a child. He also has his own worldview. No matter how stupid he is, he still knows that things seem to be very different now. Li Chen leaned back slightly, leaned on the sofa and crossed his legs, looking playfully at Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong who were kneeling. "My grandfather brought my parents and I to Chengdu for the first time. It was Uncle Feng's family who supported my Li family and contributed a lot to the establishment of my Li group. Since I was a child, I have almost been watched by Uncle Feng, and Uncle Feng has also taken care of me a lot. I thought at that time that when I grow up, I must be good to Uncle Feng." As Li Chen opened his mouth, Feng Taijun was already bursting into tears and broke down in sobs. "Although I'm not sensible, I also know one truth, that is, providing help in times of need is more valuable than adding icing on the cake." Li Chen said in a slow voice, "My dad has repeatedly told me that I can be a bastard, I can be a rogue, but I won't learn from it. There is no skill, but you must learn to be grateful. Uncle Feng may not have much education or much ability, but he helped the Li family a lot during their most difficult time. Maybe they were small things that everyone could do, but it was different for the Li family at that time. I'll keep it in mind." Li Chen smiled, not sure whether he was laughing at himself or something. "The Li family has improved. In order to thank you for taking care of my Li family, my father gave you the highest salary in Chengdu at that time. My grandfather said that you are not young anymore, it's time to have a successor. So let Uncle Feng get married, and all the expenses were handled by the Li family. Later, Uncle Feng also came to work in our Li family. My father said that Uncle Feng has the same temperament as you, calm and steady, and is a good seedling, so he also arranged a grand wedding for Uncle Feng. Feng Yichang burst into tears. I was still young at that time, but I was so happy to see Uncle Feng get married and start a business, because I was going to have a younger brother. Gradually, Cheng Cheng grew up. In order to prevent others from gossiping about the Feng family, the Li family officially dismissed your Feng family housekeeper position and let you appear in the form of formal employees and supervisors in the Li family group, and even helped Cheng Cheng go to the best school in Chengdu. I remember that not long before the accident, my parents personally selected a big villa for your family. The real estate certificate and other things were ready. Hearing this, Feng Taijun and Feng Yichang trembled all over, and they kept kowtowed, as if their hearts were struck by lightning. They didn't know all this. What a pity. Li Chen sat up straight. What a pity that my parents didn't have time to hand it over to you, and something happened to our family. As Li Chen finished speaking, there was only crying in the house. Feng Cheng also understood, and his little face was full of shock and horror. He looked at his grandfather and father in disbelief. Grandpa, what brother Li Chen said, is all true, right? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 453. How could a 10-year-old child not know something if he was immersed in a place like the Li family? It's just that he doesn't think as much as adults. But when Li Chen told some things from back then and looked at the reaction of his grandfather and father kneeling down, Feng Cheng understood it no matter how stupid he was. The destruction of the Li family may have involved the Feng family. Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong could not say anything, because they are so ashamed. The Feng family did serve the Li family, but the Li family quietly repaid them even more behind the scenes. However, no matter how honest a person is, there are times when he is confused. For example, the Li family once removed their housekeeper position in order to allow the Feng family to stand on their own feet. The Li family's good intentions were interpreted as malicious intentions by the Feng family. Diamond suit, diamond suit. Sometimes, even people who are close to each other, even if they live together day and night, will have unexplainable conflicts. Some things are just so dramatic. I thought you understood, but it turns out you don't. I thought it meant this, but you meant that. Until this moment, when Li Chen slowly said these things in the tone of a junior, Feng Taijun knew that the Feng family had gone astray. And on this road, we go further and further away. So much so that it led to today's tragedy. The Li family is in ruins. This villa was not given as a gift by the Li family. The Li family was destroyed before it was given away. Feng Taijun obtained this villa by betraying the Li family and poisoning Li Chuanlong. Once upon a time, there were two people who were closest to the Li family. One was Feng Taijun, who was honest and down to earth in his work. The other one is Yang Ming. What is completely different from Feng Taijun is that Yang Ming is out of touch and a bit unruly, not like a serious person. At that time, Yang Ming was not taken seriously by the Li family. He was mainly placed together with Feng Taijun. The contrast was too obvious. This also leads to the fact that even if Yang Ming does more important and more things for the Li family, he is always slightly inferior to Feng Taijun in terms of status. Similarly, the treatment of Yang Ming's son and grandson is naturally far different. However, who would have thought that Feng Taijun's family would be unwilling to get the best, and instead feel that Yang Ming's family had stolen their limelight? Because Yang Ming's family was not very calm, the Li family did not give them much real power. The only time I was given was the position of housekeeper. Because the Li family feels that it is best for the Yang family to maintain a relationship with the Li family like this. However, the Feng family felt that the Li family was partial and the Feng family had lost its use value. Who can explain all this clearly? Li Chen silently looked at the two people kneeling on the ground, his eyes just filled with silence. The Feng Taijun family never did anything important in the Li family, but they got the most, took the best, and enjoyed the best. In the end, the Li family was betrayed without mercy. On the contrary, Yang Ming's family, who everyone thought was rebellious, including Li Hoxian, felt that they could not be reused, had always worked hard. How ridiculous! Even if the Li family is overturned, Yang Ming's family will be there to guard it. What an irony! Li Chen sighed and placed the bottle in his hand gently on the table. Even if the Li family owes something, I think it should have been repaid, Li Chen said. At least, your Feng family is poor and destitute. It was my Li family who gave you status, rights, and wealth. Even the inheritance of your Feng family is the same. My grandfather and my father took care of it themselves. Bang bang bang. The foreheads of the two father and son were already red, and they were still kowtowing. I, Li Chen, have never treated you as servants. I respect you as my elders. Li Chen slowly closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened his eyes again, he was already indifferent. Some things cannot be escaped after all. I am here today to solve them one by one. Uncle Feng, please. Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong both shook their heads with tears in their eyes. Master, we were wrong, we were wrong. Give us another chance, okay? Give us one more chance. Li Chen remained silent. Feng Cheng on the side saw this and immediately knelt down. Brother Li Chen. Li Chen's cold eyes became a little gentle. This matter has nothing to do with you. Brother Li Chen, I'm sorry. I didn't know that Grandpa and Dad would do such a thing. I'm sorry. Feng Chen was frightened and knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. Brother Li Chen, please spare their lives. I am Feng Chen. You will pay it back if you work like a cow or a horse all your life. All three generations of the Feng family knelt down in unison. But Li Chen remained unmoved. If you solve it on your own, I will make Feng Chen have no worries about food and clothing in the future, and will send him to study abroad. Of course, if Feng Chen wants to seek revenge from me in the future, I will be waiting at any time. Your fault has nothing to do with the children. Li Chen hugged Li Biwu, and this little girl was especially quiet today. Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong looked at each other and both lamented. Don't you even want to give the young master a chance to change his ways? Hearing this, Li Chen smiled. Uncle Feng, do you know? Before I came in, I was actually soft-hearted. I thought, as long as you, the Feng family, are really willing to admit your mistakes, I can actually turn a blind eye. Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong's expressions froze. What a pity. If you change your mind, you change your mind. Li Chen pointed outside the house and said to the other two people, are the people you arranged outside waiting for a notice? The faces of the Feng family's father and son suddenly changed. Why do you have to make a fuss like this? Li Chen stood up holding Li Biwu. I am still giving you a chance even now. Do you really want me to die? Hearing this, Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong finally stopped crying. The two men pulled out their guns almost at the same time and pointed them at Li Chen. Why are you forcing us? I force you, Li Chen smiled. You betrayed my Li family and poisoned my grandfather. Is this my Li family forcing you? When they came to your Feng family and Yang family, why did you rebel? But the Yang family didn't. Ask yourself, has my Li family treated you unfairly? Li Chen, things have come to this point, and no matter how much you say, nothing can be saved. Feng Taijun, a simple and honest man, has an extremely fierce and cruel look in his eyes. Let our family leave, I promise that I will never set foot in this territory again. Uncle Feng, Are you old and confused, or do you think that I, Li Chen, am the waste I used to be? Li Chen smiled, covered Li Biwu's eyes, and said, since I know that you still have a large number of people who want to kill me ambushed outside, how can I really not be prepared? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 454. The expressions of father and son Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong changed slightly, but they couldn't help but laugh. I know you have some ability, but my father and son are also willing to spend money. There must be a brave man who spends a lot of money. They are not ordinary people, but real killers, strong martial arts masters. This is their confidence and their self-confidence. They were already ready before Li Chen came. If Li Chen was willing to let them live, they wouldn't really take action against Li Chen. At most, they would leave it to the 4 major families to deal with. But if Li Chen dared to take action, then they would have to destroy the last single seedling of the Li family. After working hard for the Li family for so long, it was time to become my own master. Oh! A strong martial artist, Li Chen smiled, and then a group of people were thrown out. At this moment, the Feng family father and son finally couldn't sit still. More than 10 figures were smashed down, and there was a pool of blood on the ground. The 2 father and son were completely stunned. How can this be? Uncle Feng, for the sake of getting to know each other, I will give you one last chance, Li Chen said softly. Tell me who asked you to poison my grandfather? And who poisoned me? Speak out, and I can give you a decent way to die, and I can also give Feng Cheng a way to live. Then you'd better die. Although Feng Taijun was old, his hand holding the gun did not shake at all. When Li Chen just finished speaking, he had already pulled the trigger. Bang bang bang. 3 shots were fired in succession, hitting Li Chen's eyebrows, heart, and Li Biwu in Li Chen's arms. The ruthlessness is evident. Don't, Feng Cheng roared angrily, but the gun was already fired. Feng Taijun and Feng Yukong couldn't help but laugh. They seemed to have seen Li Chen's blood spilled on the spot. However, the bullet stopped 1 foot in front of Li Chen and floated quietly. The smiles of the Feng family father and son suddenly froze. This is impossible, the 2 father and son almost roared. How can a person stop a bullet? Even the legendary powerful master couldn't stop him. I gave you the opportunity, but you didn't cherish it. Li Chen stretched out his finger and flicked it lightly at the bullet suspended in mid-air. Feng Taijun's wrist was pierced, bleeding, and the gun fell to the ground. Feng Yukong was closely followed. The father and his son fell down clutching their wrists and legs. How could you be so strong? Feng Taijun looked at Li Chen with fearful eyes. What Li Chen did today completely subverted their understanding. Who can compete with someone who can even change the trajectory of a bullet? For the first time, Feng Taijun felt fear in a real sense. Li Chen shook his head and shook his hand against the pistol on the ground. The pistol had been dismembered and the bullets were suspended. Don't kill us, don't kill us. Seeing this scene, Feng Taijun quickly got up and knelt down and said, I said it all. It was Mrs. Liang of the Liang family and Mrs. Du family who asked me to do this, it was them. Li Chen's eyes showed no emotion at all, and he said, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear it anymore. Li Chen. Feng Taijun raised his head and said, don't you want to know where your parents' bodies are? You can't kill me. Suddenly, murderous intent swept through the room. What did you do? If you don't want your parents to be dead, then let us go. We don't want anything but our lives. Feng Taijun threatened. Li Chen closed his eyes. Feng Taijun thought that Li Chen was thinking about it, and quickly said, you haven't fulfilled your filial piety, are you going to let them die without peace? As long as you let them go. Li Chen waved his arm, and the bullet burst out between Feng Taijun's eyebrows. Bang! Blood flowers bloomed, and Feng Taijun couldn't believe the scene until his death. Feng Yukong on the side was even more shocked. You. Going abroad, Li Chen said in a cold voice, you will never even think about going abroad in this life. Seeing the bullets levitating, Feng Cheng immediately stood in front of Feng Yukong, my grandfather is dead. Do you want to drive my whole family away? Feng Cheng, you are no longer a child. Didn't you hear what your grandfather was threatening me with? Li Chen asked. So what? It was you who forced me into the step-by-step. My grandfather said that we don't want anything. We just want to leave. It was you who killed my grandfather. Feng Cheng's eyes changed little by little. Red. He knew it was the Feng family's fault, but he was also a child. I could still have some sense before, but in the end I still have to stand by my loved ones. Grandpa begged like this, but Li Chen still refused to let him go. In his opinion, Li Chen was also a villain. Haha, Li Chen turned around and left. Feng Cheng and Feng Yukong breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Li Chen leaving. Whoosh whoosh. Ah! The two father and son screamed in agony, their wrists, hands, and feet were all shattered by bullets. They may not die, but they will become a useless person in this life. Don't you want to live? Then live like a useless person all your life. Don't worry, Li Chen, will help you and let you live until you die. Even if you want to die, you won't be able to. Inside the house, there was a lot of wailing. Feng Yukong looked desperate, looking at his son who had been crippled and fainted, and felt full of shame. If he had just chosen to die, maybe Feng Cheng could still live without worries about food and clothing. Unfortunately, there is no if in the world. He knew that since Li Chen said it, he would definitely do it. The Feng family, after all, is not destined to be rich. Li Zifeng took Li Biwu. Although Li Biwu had been following Li Chen, she did not hear those words and screams. And Li Chen did not let her see it. Daddy, Li Biwu sat on Li Chen's legs, and her chubby little hands gently helped Li Chen to stroke his chest. What are you doing? Help Daddy, Li Biwu said seriously. Daddy, don't be angry, okay? Okay, Li Chen kissed Li Biwu gently, and Li Biwu sat down obediently. Then Daddy, do you want to continue? Yes. Then Xiao, sister, Daodu, and Xiahua will wait for Daddy in the car. Okay, Li Chen hugged the two sisters. Children shouldn't be exposed to these things, but when Li Chen knew that the Li family had joined the game and even the children had been involved, he knew that Xiaofeng and Xiao would have to face it sooner or later. Rather than waiting to be at a loss in the future, it is better to take them to adapt now. Shen Jian and Nangang Hongchuo, who were sitting in the driver's seat and the co-pilot seat, could feel how low the pressure was around Li Chen. They saw everything that happened in the Feng family just now. Li Chen didn't kill the father and son of the Feng family, which clearly meant to torture them for the rest of their lives. No one can bear the hatred of their parents being dug up after their death. The Feng family is simply crazy to the extreme. Where are you going? Yang family. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 455. There are many rich people in Chengdu, but there are also many poor people. Behind the lush area of Chengdu, there is a deep alley. It leads to poor rural areas. Why there is no demolition and construction here is unknown. Chun'er, M.Vodtw diamond suit com Yang Ning walked out limping with one leg. The house was not big and only had 2 rooms. After seeing a world full of prosperity, looking at a house like this will give you a dazzling feeling. The road was so messy that there were not even a few complete cement roads in sight. They all looked as if they had been cut through by man, with a piece broken here and another piece broken there. Yang Ning called several times, but still didn't get a response, and couldn't help but become a little anxious. Chun'er. Yang Ning raised her voice again and limped out. There is a white circle on the ground around the Yang family's house. The circle surrounded the entire Yang family. Just when Yang Ning was about to limp out of the circle, A glass bottle fell directly in front of his feet. Bang! Yang Ning's movements stopped abruptly. Young man named Yang, haven't you caused enough misery to everyone? If you dare to step out of this circle today, then don't blame us for not caring about the friendship between our neighbors and fellow villagers. Not far from Yang Ning, there was a woman staring at Yang Ning coldly. As the sound of glass bottles being smashed was heard, the surrounding neighbors also stood up. He looked at Yang Ning with hatred in his eyes. The people and ghosts that we are living today are all caused by your Yang family. Now that you have made an agreement, you must abide by it. Yang Ning's face was full of anxiety, and she said with a flattering look, "And Hua, my Chunner is missing. I think. If it's gone, it's gone. Can such a big child still die?" And Hua, who just smashed the bottle, said coldly, her eyes very cold. "I'm warning you, Yang Ning, it's best not to step out of this circle, otherwise we will be really rude. There are limits to our tolerance." People around him were warning harshly. As for where Yang Chun went, they didn't care. Yang Ning's face was complicated, she smiled apologetically at everyone, looked at the dazzling white marks on the ground, and then slowly retracted. "Chunner." Yang Ning could only stand and shout, hoping that his son could hear the sound. "Isn't Chunner back yet?" A young woman walked out of the dilapidated house. With the appearance of this woman, many men and women around her showed strange expressions. The men glanced jealously at the lame Yang Ning, while the women looked jealously at the exquisite figure and flowery face of the woman who came out of the house. Both of them cursed and despised silently in their hearts. "Damn God, you are so blind that you let a pretty girl like Yun Fengling marry a poor guy like Yang Ning. Every time I think of the love between a delicate person like Yun Fengling and a cripple like Yang Ning, the men around me feel as if needles are pricking their hearts. They just couldn't figure it out. Why would Yun Fengling from a family like the Yang family want to stay? The key thing is that I was bullied by a group of people from time to time. Even a woman can't survive. But Yun Fengling still clings to this family. I don't know which tendon is wrong." However, many men just thought about it silently in their hearts. Did they know that there was someone else who was thinking about this Yang family woman? It is said that he is the third young master of the Liang family. The Liang family is one of the four major families in Chengdu, second only to the Du family in terms of strength. He is a person above the 9 heavens. I don't know how such a wealthy young man can be so good at this. Come every day and persuade every day. It's strange to say that this young master of the Liang family is quite rude and domineering on the one hand, but also quite gentle and delicate on the other. He was rude and overbearing because he broke one of Yang Ning's legs in front of everyone. From then on, Yang Ning became a cripple. He even drew a circle around the Yang family, claiming that anyone from the Yang family except Yang Chun who dared to step out of this circle would have their legs broken. Everyone knew that the Liang family couldn't afford to offend them. They were scared and angry at the same time, and they didn't have a good look towards the Yang family. If it weren't for the Yang family, everyone wouldn't have to worry. As for the gentleness of this third young master, women were jealous of him. He fell in love with Yang Ning's wife more than once, but no matter how many tricks he tried, it was useless. Yun Fengling seemed to be blind, seeing only Yang Ning as a man. This also made many married women secretly scold her for being a prude and a bitch. If it were them, they would have dumped their worthless man long ago and run away with the third young master of the Liang family. It's a pity that everyone is a yellow-faced woman, not as good-looking as Yun Fengling, a little prostitute, and not as good-looking as her. Just when Yun Fengling was a little worried, Yang Ning was comforted. It's okay. Chunner is not a child anymore. Something must have delayed her. Broomstar, little bastard. Yang Chun, you are definitely not my biological child. Your mother is so beautiful and you are so ugly. You must not have been born to your father. Harsh sounds came one after another. Yun Fengling's pretty face suddenly became ugly. These kids are simply going too far. I saw a child in tattered clothes, with fresh wounds on his face and a hint of red at the corners of his mouth, carrying a pile of obviously broken dishes, and walking slowly with a group of children following him from a distance. When Yang Ning saw his son like this, a trace of self-blame and heartache flashed in his eyes. Yun Fengling was so distressed that she could hardly breathe. Her child was only 9 years old, and he had to suffer such inhuman torture and grievance. Her eyes were filled with tears, and she couldn't help trembling. Yang Ning noticed his wife's strangeness, gently hugged her shoulders and said, "It's okay." "Is it really okay?" Yun Fengling looked at Yang Ning with tears in her eyes, and her determination in her heart was shaken a little bit. "If it weren't for me, maybe you wouldn't be like this." Yang Ning's face sank, and he said solemnly, "Don't talk nonsense. Do you really think they will let us go without you?" "But, young Master Liang broke your leg because of me." Yun Fengling had already cried. She can be wronged, but what about the child? If she didn't agree, the Yang family would live in this small circle forever like a caged dog. What about the child? She, as a mother, couldn't do anything to help the child who was bullied every day. Yang Ning clenched his fists, veins popping out. Yang Chun, who was carrying a heavy basket of vegetables, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, squeezed out a smile and said, "Mom and Dad, I bought the vegetables back." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 456. Looking at his son with a bruised nose and swollen face, he was only 9 years old, but he had an extraordinary maturity. He even tried hard to smile, but he just didn't want their son to worry. Yun Fengling hugged Yang Chun and burst into tears. "Chun'er, it's all Mom's fault." Yang Chun hugged Yun Fengling a little worried and comforted, "Mom, don't cry, Chun'er will be fine." He raised his head and looked at Yang Ning. Yang Ning pursed her lips, touched Yang Chun's head and said, "Go in first." The people gathered around didn't leave, they were all watching the fun. It seemed that the Yang family were all monkeys in captivity. Yang Chun took Yun Fengling's little hand and prepared to enter the house. At this moment, several off-road vehicles slowly approached. The people surrounding him suddenly dispersed. In the car, there were some fashionable men and women looking at Yang Ning's family with playful eyes. A young man holding flowers came out of the car at the front, Liang Jiali, the third young master of the Liang family. Liang Jiali walked towards Yun Fengling holding flowers. Young Yang Chun immediately stood in front of his mother with arrogance, glaring at this hateful man with hatred in his eyes. If it weren't for this man, why would the Yang family be in such misery? Why does Liang Jiali like this? Cai Haoang couldn't help but curl his lips in another car. Although Yang Ning's wife is somewhat pretty, she is also fair-skinned and dewy-skinned. But after all, he didn't like it after having given birth to a child. Master Cai, this may be pineapple and green vegetables. Everyone has their own preference. Cai Haoang laughed and cursed when he heard this, but didn't say much. I came with this kid Liang Jiali today. He was just bored. It is said that that old man Yang Ming would not even say a word to slander the Li family even to death, which is also strange. The Li family was not very kind to the Yang family in the past. Why is it that even the honest man Feng Taijun surrendered, but this family is still worried? He really didn't understand. The Li family has been wiped out. Even if Li Chen is still alive, can he stir up trouble? As for stirring up trouble in the capital, don't be ridiculous. In the important place of the capital, any big family can crush any big family in their Chengdu city without any difficulty. The little Li family can't even fight against the 4 major families. How can that wimp Li Chen fight against the people in the capital? It seems that the last lone seedling of the Li family has no choice but to come up with this dirty trick to build a reputation in order to protect itself, so as to make all the four major families afraid of it. It's right to think about it. Li Chen, that loser, has no ability, so doesn't he have to live a good life? Fengling. Liang Jiali stood affectionately in front of Yun Fengling and handed out the flowers in his hand. I know, you still don't believe that I love you, but I have been repeating one thing for so many days, don't you feel it? Liang Jiali looked at Yun Fengling and said, my love for you, the love is real. As long as you agree to be with me, I will immediately take you out of the sea of misery. As long as you don't dislike it, I'm willing to help you raise your son. Go away, I don't want you to raise me, Yang Chun roared angrily and pushed Liang Jiali away. Damn it, you little bastard, are you looking for death? The people who came out with Liang Jiali saw Yang Chun's dirty little hands and soiled Liang Jiali's clothes, so they wanted to get out of the car and kill Yang Chun. Yang Ning, however, protected her child and looked at Liang Jiali calmly. Yun Fengling on the side was struggling in her heart. She really didn't want her father-in-law, husband and son to live like a dog. If she can exchange her body for the stability and happiness of this family, then she is willing. Just when Yun Fengling felt relieved, Yang Ning held Yun Fengling's little hand tightly. This made Yun Fengling hesitate again. Liang Jiali, who watched the whole process, felt a flash of regret in his heart. He could tell that this woman couldn't hold on anymore, but unfortunately, Yang Ning pulled her back again. Bang! Suddenly, without warning, Liang Jiali kicked Yang Ning in the abdomen. Yun Fengling and Yang Chun were both shocked. Yang Ning. Dad. Yang Ning fell to the ground with a painful expression on his face. Liang Jiali sneered at the corner of his mouth and waved his hand, and someone immediately came over and grabbed Yun Fengling and Yang Chun. Let me go, let me go. Liang Jiali looked at Yang Ning, who fell to the ground, stepped on his chest, and looked down at him condescendingly. You said you are so virtuous and capable? What qualifications do you have to marry Fengling? As Liang Jiali exerted force with his solace, Yang Ning's face began to twist. Let him go, Yun Fengling burst into tears and said, let him go. Facing Yun Fengling's plea, Liang Jiali remained indifferent. The more this woman pleads for Yang Ning, the more uncomfortable he becomes mentally, as uncomfortable as burning. Since you, Yun Fengling, are still unwilling to compromise, then I will be tough. Kill your husband first, and then use your son and father-in-law to force him. It depends on whether you agree or not. There is no woman that I, Liang Jiali, want that I cannot get my hands on. Of course, as Cai Haoang said, it is actually very simple for Liang Jiali to want a woman, even as long as he uses some coercion. But Liang Jiali refused, he wanted Yun Fengling to agree. Ah! Liang Jiali increased his strength, and Yang Ning screamed. At this time, a slightly hunched figure walked out of the house. Hey, Mr. Yang got out of bed. Liang Jiali stepped on Yang Ning and smiled, are you feeling better? The old Yang Ming looked at Liang Jiali with a complicated expression and said, why is Mr. Liang doing this? We are just workers in the Yang family. We don't know what the Li family is doing. I don't understand what Mr. Yang is talking about. Liang Jiali shook his head. Yang Ming's expression was complicated. He didn't believe that the people from the Liang family came every now and then just because they liked his daughter-in-law. The four major families were still treacherous and wanted to find out more secrets of the Li family. Yang Ming felt very sad. Yang Ming had been a bad man all his life, but he also knew how to repay his gratitude. The Li family may not have done much for him, but he remembered it all. Now, there is only one child left in the Li family. How could he do something treacherous? If third young master Liang insists on torturing my Yang family like this, then I have nothing to say. Yang Ming dragged a chair, sat down slowly, and said, today, whether to kill or cut, It's all up to you, third young master Liang. My Yang family has nothing, just a few lives left. If third young master doesn't mind dirtying his hands, just go ahead and call. At this time, Mr. Yang Ming has made his position clear. You can take this opportunity to humiliate my son, or you can take my life. Today, it's all here. As long as you dare to take it, take it. Forget about the rest. In that case, then Liang will really be rude. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 457. After saying this, young Master Liang glanced at Yun Fengling, who was suffering from torment. The kinder people are, the more likely they are to feel guilty. Because they will take the blame on themselves and think that it is their responsibility. If the father and son of the Yang family really died because of this, Yun Fengling would definitely not be able to bear it. As for Yang Chun, a child is not a concern. He wants more than just Yun Fengling. Of course, the performance must be so simple. Otherwise, how to create a deep affectionate character? As young Master Liang sneered and waved his hand to bring a hammer, Yun Fengling was really panicked. She knew that in Rongcheng, the four major families were the sky. There was nothing they couldn't do if they wanted to do it. At least, this was the world she was exposed to. It was really no big deal to just knock one or two people to death casually. Young Master Liang glanced at Yun Fengling and said to Yang Ning, "Kill him for me." The man holding the hammer had a grim smile. Of course, he knew how young Master Liang arranged it, so he didn't have any psychological burden. Knock. Dante Yun Fengling cried and begged, "I promise you." The man who had already raised the hammer felt a little pity. Liang Sanshao showed a satisfied smile and said, "What did you say?" Louder. Yun Fengling burst into tears. How could she say it a second time? Then do it. I promise you. Yun Fengling was frightened and hurriedly said, "Let them go, let them go." Liang Sanshao waved his hand, and the person who grabbed Yun Fengling immediately let her go. Yun Fengling fell to the ground, and Yang Ning's face was full of despair and anger. But seeing the look in his father Yang Ming's eyes, he could only grit his teeth and close his eyes in pain. Wouldn't it be better if it was like this earlier? Liang Sanshao helped Yun Fengling up and wanted to help her wipe her tears, but Yun Fengling subconsciously dodged. "If you do this again, I will really do it to Yang Ning." Yun Fengling was so scared that her body stiffened, and she closed her eyes in pain and stopped dodging. Seeing this, young Master Liang finally smiled. He reached out and touched Yun Fengling's cheek. "If you dare to touch her, I will make you live a life worse than death." Everyone was shocked. They looked around. Who was so bold that he dared to say such a cruel word to young Master Liang? Yang Ming, who was sitting, and Yang Ning, who was lying on the ground, looked away suddenly. This voice is so familiar. Cai Haoang, who was sitting in the car watching the excitement, couldn't help but turn his head. Three figures slowly walked over. The leader was a young man, and the first impression he gave was handsome. Yes, even a narcissistic person like Cai Haoang felt that the man in front of him didn't look like someone from the mortal world. His temperament was extraordinary, like a banished immortal. When the young man gradually approached, Cai Haoang's pupils shrank suddenly, and a look of astonishment appeared on his face. He would never have thought that the one who came here was the stray dog of the Li family. Li Chen. As Cai Haoang exclaimed, Liang Jiali couldn't help but look over, and the smile on his face became more playful. Li Chen? He really came? And he came to see Yang Ming first. Interesting. Who is this guy? I don't know him. Dare to interfere in the affairs of the Liang family at this time, do you think your life is too long? Those neighbors who were watching the excitement around also stood up. However, after seeing Li Chen's face, one by one they began to feel sorry. What a handsome young man, why did he come to help the unlucky Yang family? Even those women who were already married couldn't help but feel their heartbeats speed up when they saw Li Chen's face, and their hearts were moved. I don't know why, this man seemed to exude an invisible charm. Women of different ages have different feelings when looking at Li Chen. Those who like handsome guys naturally feel that he is a top handsome guy, and those who like charming uncles feel that he is a handsome uncle. In short, Li Chen at this moment seemed to have 1,000 different appearances. Even Cai Haoang and others couldn't help but feel their heartbeats speed up slightly, and both men and women looked at him in a daze. Li Chen walked over, followed by Shen Jian and Nangong Hongchuo. Cai Haoang didn't realize it until Li Chen approached, and he wanted to slap himself. Why did he stare at a man for so long? Li Chen's eyes fell on Yang Ming, Yang Ning, and Yang Chun, and finally on Yun Fengling, who was caught in Liang Jiali's hand. As for Cai Haoang and Liang Jiali, he didn't even look at them from beginning to end. Li Chen ignored Liang Jiali's people and walked straight to Yang Ning, who was lying on the ground. Li Chen, you are really brave. You dare to come to such a place, Liang Jiali snorted coldly. Unfortunately, Li Chen ignored him. The man holding the heavy hammer saw Liang Jiali's unhappy face, twisted his neck with a cracking sound, and swung the hammer to hit Li Chen's head. He wanted to use this big hammer to smash the young man's head. As soon as the man raised the hammer, he found that he couldn't move. Until Li Chen walked around the man, walked to Yang Ning's side and helped Yang Ning up. Yang Ning looked at this face that was obviously familiar, but at this moment it felt extremely strange, and didn't know what to say for a while. As for the sitting old man Yang Ming, he stood up early. His lips trembled, almost unbelievable. Why are you standing there so dumb? Take action, Liang Jiali laughed angrily. Is this guy a waste? What about holding a hammer to scare people? Qiangzi, who was holding the hammer, was on the verge of tears and was terrified. I wanted to smash it down too, but I couldn't move. Li Chen glanced at the family and sighed in his heart. This is the person the Li family really owes. Young master, Yang Ming trembled and asked, is it you? It's me, Li Chen gently held Yang Ming's hand and said, I'm sorry, I'm late. Even when Yang Ming faced death just now, he was not afraid or shed tears. But at this moment, I couldn't help but burst into tears. It's not too late, it's not too late at all. Yang Ming smiled happily, it's good to be alive, it's good to be alive. Li Chen gently pressed him on the chair and said, I will handle the next thing. Okay, okay, okay. Yang Ming said hello 3 times in a row, even though he didn't know what Li Chen had gone through. But since Li Chen is here, it means that he is ready. He believes in Li Chen. Li Chen turned around and looked at Yun Fengling and Yang Chun, who were captured, and said, let them go and apologize, and I will give your Liang family a decent death. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 458. Liang Jiali laughed, wildly and loudly. He looked at Li Chen like he was an idiot and said, are you an idiot who has watched too many TV series? Or are you not clear-headed? You can also say such idiotic things. Snapped. Bang. The vehicle vibrates. The surroundings were quiet for a moment. Liang Jiali was hit hard on the ground. There was a drop of bright red blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Whether it was the surrounding neighbors or the people brought by Liang Jiali and Cai Haoang, they all looked at the person who had come from where Liang Jiali was standing just now with stunned expressions. Nangong Heidi. Liang Jiali's mouth was dripping with blood, and his cheeks were even red and swollen at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ah! Shen Jian put his hands on the shoulders of the 2 men holding Yang Chun, and everyone could clearly hear the sound of bones breaking. Click, click, click. The 2 men's faces were twisted in pain. He wailed and knelt on the ground, fainting from the pain. After finishing all this, Shen Jian patted Yang Chun, who was a little dull, and pointed to the location of Yang Ming and Yang Ning. Yang Chun did not move, but ran towards Yun Fengling, who was crying, "Mom, don't cry." Yun Fengling knelt down and hugged her son tightly. "Mom, don't cry." Yun Fengling took Yang Chun and hid beside Yang Ning. As the people on Li Chen's side started to take action, the experts from the Liang family and the Cai family gathered around, staring at Shen Jian and Nangong Hongqing with unkind expressions. Li Chen nodded at Liang Jiali, and before they could say harsh words, Nangong Hangchuo grabbed it with one hand, and Liang Jiali appeared in front of them. "Master Liang! You are so bold, you dare to touch even young Master Liang, are you looking for death? You won't let me go yet. These masters are like facing a powerful enemy. Once something happens to Liang Jiali, they will probably die together." Nangong Hangchuo didn't even look at these people, and threw Liang Jiali like a dead dog in front of Li Chen. "Third young Master Liang," Li Chen smiled, squatted in front of Liang Jiali, and said, "How is Mrs. Liang?" "Very good," Liang Jiali sneered, "it's much better than your parents who went to hell." Li Chen's eyes narrowed slightly, and then he said with a smile, "I think the Liang family will not be well soon. Destroy him." Shen Jian took one step forward. "Grandmaster." The expressions of these people changed dramatically. "Are you kidding? Who can deal with a strong master?" Almost in the blink of an eye, Shen Jian eliminated the strong men brought by Liang Jiali and others. Li Chen took out a mobile phone, threw it to Liang Jiali and said, "Now, I give the Liang family, Cai family and Du family 1 hour to come here to meet me." "You're dreaming," Liang Jiali hummed, but before he could finish humming, Li Chen's solace had already stepped on the fingers of his left hand. "Crush it on the spot." "Ah!" The shrill screams pierced the sky. The onlookers were so frightened that they broke out in cold sweat and retreated, not daring to look any further. Cai Haoang was also caught by Shen Jian, trembling. Li Chen watched with interest as Liang Jiali, who was sweating and shivering in pain, stepped on his second finger. I'll fight right away." Liang Jiali, who was never a tough guy, gave in faster than anyone else. "Ah!" Liang Jiali rolled on the ground, his voice hysterical. I'll fight, let me go." Yun Fengling covered Yang Chun's eyes, while the others looked dull. They did not expect that the aloof young master of the Liang family seemed to be just like normal people, more afraid of death and pain. Cai Haoang on the side was trembling as if he had seen a devil. This was completely different from the Li Chen in his impression. Liang Jiali's face was distorted, but Li Chen still stepped on his other finger. Cai Haoang was so trembling that he couldn't even hold his cell phone steady. "Hey, yes, it's me, come to Yang Ming's house, I said to come to Yang Ming's house, tell my grandpa, uncle and the others." Cai Haoang almost roared out. He is just a dude, not a tough guy. Seeing Liang Jiali being tortured to death, he was scared to death. The pain of his fingers being crushed gave him goosebumps just looking at them. His mind went blank, and he couldn't even figure out why the solace of his feet could crush bones. Li Chen didn't seem to expect Liang Jiali to call the Liang family anymore. He was more interested in torturing Liang Jiali. When Liang Jiali's 5 fingers were crushed, he was already incontinent and motionless. As for the experts from the Liang family, they were all lying on the ground pretending to be dead, not daring to express their anger. Li Chen glanced at Liang Jiali, who had completely fainted, then turned around and looked at Yang Ming. Yang Chun, a child, very obediently brought a chair out for Li Chen. Li Chen was not polite and sat down directly. "Uncle Yang's legs." Li Chen looked at Yang Ning's legs. Yang Ning smiled and said, "It's okay." "Did the Liang family make it?" Li Chen asked. Yang Ning shook his head, but Yang Chun on the side said angrily, "Dad lied, it was the lying man who did it." Yun Fengling immediately pulled Yang Chun away. Li Chen smiled and said, Do you still remember me? Yeah, Yang Chun nodded. Then let me avenge your father, okay? Is it okay? Yang Chun hesitated. Of course, Li Chen said, today I will seek justice for you. This is what the Li family owes you. Okay, Yang Chun nodded firmly, not afraid of Li Chen. Li Chen pointed at Yang Ning's leg and said, roll it up for me to see. Maybe, I can help you heal it. Yang Ning was stunned. Yun Fengling, who was standing beside him, didn't care about being rude or not. She immediately came up to him and said, can it really be cured? I have to see it to know. Li Chen smiled. Yun Fengling rolled up Yang Ning's trouser legs regardless of Yang Ning's obstruction. Li Chen's eyes condensed slightly. There was actually blood. He could see at a glance that Yang Ning's injuries were caused repeatedly. In other words, Yang Ning's legs had been tortured again and again. Others waited for him to get better and then beat him up. This leg was almost half crippled. Li Chen felt a blockage in his chest and felt even more guilty. After taking a deep breath, he carefully checked Yang Ning's leg injury, and then said, I can cure it. In fact, Yang Ning had already given up hope, but after hearing Li Chen's words, he couldn't help but get excited. Really? Even Yang Ming's eyes sparkled with hope. Well, I can save him, Li Chen said. I'll prepare some things first to stop his injuries first, and I'll treat him after I finish this matter. No hurry, no hurry. Yang Ming was overjoyed. His son's leg could still be saved, that's enough. Yun Fengling cried excitedly, her husband's leg was broken because of her, she blamed herself more than anyone else. Now that he can finally be saved, how can she not be happy? Although she didn't know why her husband and father-in-law were holding on and refused to let go. But she knew that perhaps the bad days of this family would end. I just don't know if the Du family, the Liang family, and the Cai family will come. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 459. Cai Family. Cai Anwu sat quietly in the living room, thinking. Brother, brother. Cai Baodong rushed in a panic and said hurriedly, the little bastard from the Li family is here. Where? Cai Anwu seemed very calm. Yang Ming's family. Cai Anwu stood up fiercely and said, Yang Ming's family. Yes, Cai Baodong said in a panic, my useless thing went with the one from the Liang family, but I didn't expect Li Chen to show up. Cai Anwu's face suddenly changed, and he scolded, where are the people? Where did they die? Master. Cai Anwu said gloomily, didn't I ask you to report the news to me at any time? Li Chen has gone to find Yang Ming, where is the news? Cai Anwu was furious at this time. Master, our people, are all dead. Cai Anwu's face changed again, all dead? At this time, a figure walked out, and Cai Anwu and Cai Baodong immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Ancestor. No need to send anyone out. That little bastard from the Li family has become a big deal. He is followed by at least 3 masters, or even more, the old man said lightly. As for the Gao family, it should be gone. The whole hall was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. The huge Gao family is gone just like that? How is this possible? I knew it a long time ago. That old guy Yang Ming refused to give up and must know something. The old man snorted coldly and said, now, Li Chen didn't come to us, but went to Yang Ming first, which is enough to explain a lot of things. Then should we go? Cai Anwu asked. Go, why not? The old man sneered, this is a perfect opportunity, isn't it? Li Chen is prepared, don't we? What's more, the news has been given over there. Li Chen can be killed. Hearing this news, Cai and Wu and others breathed a sigh of relief. Li Chen couldn't be killed before, but today, they finally heard that he could be killed. Do we need to notify the Liang and Du families? Do you think they will miss this opportunity to root out the problem? The old man shook his head and said, they are the most eager. The Liang family. Old lady Liang Jinmei, who was watching the opera, looked at the three brothers of the Liang family kneeling below and said, okay, get up. Thank you, mother. Liang Yizhu and his two brothers stood up immediately. The wicked son of the Li family dared to come here so brazenly, so let's go meet him. Liang Jinmei waved her hand and said, if my good grandson loses one hair, then Li Chen will have to lose 10. If my good grandson breaks one finger, then let him break 10, do you understand what I mean? Understood, Liang Yizhu and the other two nodded in unison. Mother, we need to bring them all. The wicked son of the Li family has been hiding for so long before coming out, how can he do without some support? Old lady Liang Jinmei said, let's solve everything today. Yes. Father. Du Jiale and Du Xiaohu stood respectfully in front of Du Yuz. Do you know everything? I know. Du Jiale and Du Xiaohu nodded. Du Yuz picked a grape and put it into his mouth and said, then let's go meet this wicked son of the Li family. Yes. Du Jiale and Du Xiaohu nodded immediately. Grandpa, let's go to Du Xinyu said with a smile. What do you want to do? Du Yuz asked curiously. I didn't see Li Hoqian die, which is a pity. It is said that this person is extremely intelligent. He started from scratch and made a great reputation. Before that, my four major families were suppressed by the Li family. I am very curious whether his son is really as useless as the rumors say. Du Xinyu said, I also want to kill someone for fun. Du Yuz was stunned for 2 seconds and smiled, go. Thank you, Grandpa. Watching his son and grandson leave, Du Yuz slowly stood up and said to a direction, Sir. Li Chen has appeared at Yang Ming's house. It seems that the Yang family is really one of Li Hoqian's backup. Not necessarily, a figure walked out. Du Yuz looked puzzled and asked, what do you mean? It may not be true, but it's good this way, saving a lot of trouble. Li Chen is at least at the Grandmaster level, so don't underestimate the enemy. Yes, Du Yuz said, the Du family will definitely do their best. That's not enough. Hearing this, Du Yuz was stunned. Not enough. To deal with a mere Li Chen, the elites of the three major families are not enough? Li Chen is difficult to deal with. When he was in the capital, no one has figured out his cultivation level until now. Maybe he has already reached the threshold of the half-stepped heavenly realm. Du Yuz's face changed drastically. But don't worry, he will definitely die this time. After all, it's not just you who want him dead, with the heavenly realm taking action, he will definitely die. At this moment, Du Yuz understood. These forces hiding behind the scenes are all going to take action. But, what do they want? Why didn't they kill Li Chen before, but want to kill him today? Did they notice something? Or is what they want in Li Chen's hands? The capital. The Murong family. Murong Hungs was fishing in the sun, and Li Donglong was staring at the water nervously. Suddenly, the float moved, and Murong Hung slowly lifted the fishing rod. The fish is hooked. A big fat fish was lifted up. Li Donglong was thoughtful and immediately picked up the scoop net to help Murong Hung scoop it up. After watching the big fish being caught, Murong Hung suddenly looked at Li Donglong. Xiaolong, how is Rong Chen during this time? Li Donglong's heart tightened slightly, but his face was very calm and he said, I don't know. Oh, that's right, you probably don't know. Murong Hung smiled. Li Donglong's heart sank even more. Murong Hung threw out the fishing rod again and said, a lot of bait has been thrown down, but it's just that a few fish will be hooked. Li Donglong's back was slightly wet, and he always felt that his grandfather was referring to something. Will Dad solve all the problems smoothly this time and then take him home? Or, Grandpa is also waiting for some news? What does a lot of bait refer to? Is it him who put the bait, or is there someone else? Among the other families, who is the one who is plotting behind the scenes? Dongfang family? Zheng family? Sidu family or Xianyuan family? Dad, don't let yourself get into trouble. Li Donglong could do nothing at this moment, and could only stay by Murongheng's side. At this moment, the entire capital seemed to be surging. Zheng family, Ye family, He family, Mu family, Yuan family, and even the other three major families in the first echelon seemed to have made moves. The water in the entire capital became more and more turbid. A quiet courtyard in the capital. A man looked to the south and said, Ching do you and Ya Jun hate me? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 460. Dongfang Yaoking remained silent. How much she loved this man before, how much she hated him now. She, a woman, dared to risk everything for love, but what about this man? He was scared. Not only did Dongfang Yaoking remain silent, but even the little Dongfang Yajun beside her did the same. Although he was small, he was quite mature. The man did not hear the answer he wanted, smiled, and said, It doesn't matter. I know that you and your son have many complaints about me, and I never thought that I would really get your forgiveness. Dongfang Yaoking said indifferently, Then what are you doing here? Just, to see you and your son. The man sighed and said, If this succeeds, maybe you will know why I do this. If it doesn't work, this should be the last time I see you and your son. Dongfang Yaoking was a little soft-hearted. But Dongfang Yajun beside him held Dongfang Yaoking's hand and said, My mother and I are living well here. Since you have seen it, please go back. The man turned around slowly and looked at this mature little man, but he was not angry at all. You have to protect your mother well in the future, understand? The man squatted in front of Dongfang Yajun. Dad is a useless man, and I am sorry for you and your son, but Dad was born with a mission and has to complete it. Dongfang Yajun still had a blank expression and was unmoved. A hint of disappointment flashed in the man's eyes. Even if the little boy finally said a caring word to him, he felt that it was worth dying. Unfortunately, he couldn't wait any longer. The man stared at Dongfang Yajun and Dongfang Yaoking for a long time, as if he wanted to imprint them in his mind, and then stood up. If, one day I confront the Dongfang family, I hope you don't blame me. The man said, and strode away. Dongfang Yaoking knew that she shouldn't be soft-hearted, but for some reason, she suddenly tensed up after hearing this. She felt like she was about to lose this man. It's hard to explain. Dongfang Yajun also pursed her lips and never called out Dad. Until the man walked away completely. After leaving, the man went straight to the most inconspicuous but most prosperous area. Here, there was a middle-aged man waiting for him. Have you met him? The handsome and elegant middle-aged man asked with a faint smile on his face. Yeah, the man nodded calmly. Let you pretend to be a grandson, let you admit your weakness, and even let them and their son be disappointed in you. There is nothing to regret. The man smiled and said, It has come to the last moment, isn't it? The middle-aged man was stunned, and then he smiled, That's true. Uncle, how can Li Chen really do it? The man was a little worried. If he doesn't succeed, he will succeed. The middle-aged man seemed to have great confidence in Li Chen and said, Aren't we all watching him grow up step by step? It's just a few months. Thinking of this, the man smiled bitterly, as if so. If nothing unexpected happens, Li Chen will soon gradually defeat the four major families, and maybe he can get more clues and come to the capital again. Thinking of the life that was about to be liberated, he let out a long breath again. It was good to be liberated. If he won this battle, he would have no regrets. If he really died, then it could only be said that their Li family should have been exterminated. Get ready. The guys in the capital are hiding very deeply, the middle-aged man reminded. Okay. Chengdu. Outside Yang Ming's house, there were shadows. This time, the four major families were all elite. The people of the Du family, the Liang family, and the Cai family had already arrived. They surrounded the area in front of them. There were more than 10 masters alone. Not to mention the countless dark and bright masters. In the crowd, Du Xinyuan looked at Li Chen curiously. To be honest, even though they were all Rongcheng dandies before, they really didn't play together. Especially when Li Chen looked down on them at that time, there was no possibility of communication. Now that he saw it with his own eyes, he didn't know how to describe it. Handsome, handsome, it seems that these words used to describe Li Chen seemed to bury him a little. He never believed in handsome men before. There is no such thing as a handsome man. There will always be people who think he is not handsome. But now, Du Xinyuan found that he seemed to be wrong. This man seemed to have no dead angles. More importantly, everyone was obviously hostile, but at this moment, some people had a little good impression of him. It was really weird. In the crowd, Liang Molan looked at Li Chen with a complicated expression, as if she felt that this man was no longer the same as before. When they looked at Li Chen was also looking at them. Some of them were very familiar, and some met for the first time. But one thing that cannot be denied is that everyone wants to kill each other. Liang Jiali's father Liang Yiwen was the first to die. Looking at his son's miserable appearance, how could he suppress his anger? Li Chen, let my son go. Liang Yiwen is not really brainless, and he will not say such meaningless stupid words. Since the three major families dared to come, it meant that they had no intention of letting Li Chen go. Li Chen glanced at Liang Jiali, who was tortured to death by him, smiled, and kicked him out. A click sounded, and Liang Yiwen's face changed drastically. You are looking for death. Liang Yiwen was furious. As a father, how could he bear to watch his son's ribs being broken by a kick? His son, who had fainted, woke up again in pain. It is conceivable how painful it must be. Liang Jiali really couldn't stand it, and almost fainted again in pain. Dad, kill him, kill him. Liang Jiali's eyes were red at this time, and he roared hysterically. He had never hated a man so much in his life. If there was, then this man must be Li Chen. Liang Yiwen was not blinded by hatred, but looked at his eldest brother Liang Yizhu. In addition to the old lady, the eldest brother can make the decision in the Liang family. Liang Yizhu did not say anything, turning a deaf ear to everything just now, but looked at the Du family instead. Brother Du, what do you think? Du Jiale, the real head of the Du family, even though the old man is still in charge, he only makes decisions on major events. The rest of the things, including the operation of the family, are all handled by Du Jiale. Du Jiale saw Liang Yizhu and Cai Anwu looking over and said, Li Chen, let's not beat around the bush, how about it? That's exactly what I meant.